Now, U.S. President Donald Trump announced sweeping reciprocal tariffs, including a 10% flat tax on all U.S. imports. Trump slapped additional duties on around 16 nations, ranging between 15% and 49%. Nations with the largest trade imbalances with the U.S. face higher rates, even as Trump said that he had sweetened the deal by only imposing about half of what other countries were charging. Trump, while announcing the tariffs, held up a chart titled Liberation Day Reciprocal Tariffs. Cambodia, Madagascar, Vietnam, Myanmar, Sri Lanka and Laos take the biggest hit with over 40% U.S. tariffs. They're followed by China, Taiwan, Thailand, Switzerland, Indonesia, South Africa, Serbia and Botswana with 30% or above. U.S. imposed 20% or above tariffs on the European Union, Japan, India, South Korea, Malaysia, Pakistan, Jordan, Tunisia, Kazakhstan and West Africa's Cote d'Ivoire.
European Union, they're very tough, very, very tough traders. You think of European Union, very friendly. They rip us off. It's so sad to see. It's so pathetic. 39%, we're going to charge them 20%.
However, the U.S. left Mexico and Canada out of the reciprocal tariffs list. Both countries already face 25% tariffs tied to drug trafficking and illegal migration, and that remains in place. Previously announced auto tariffs of 25% kicked in from midnight U.S. time on Wednesday. In the Make America Wealthy Again address, Trump asked foreign leaders to terminate their tariffs on the U.S. and urged them to buy American goods. The U.S. president said that Indian Prime Minister was a good friend, but he bemoaned India's high tariffs on American goods as unfair. He also said in many cases the friend is worse than the foe in trade.
Japan, 46%. They would charge us 46% and much higher for certain items like cars, little items like cars. 46%, we're charging them 24%. India, very, very tough, very, very tough. The Prime Minister just left. He's a great friend of mine, but I said, you're a friend of mine, but you're not treating us right. They charge us 52%. You have to understand, we charge them almost nothing for years and years and decades.
Now, separately, Trump signed an order to eliminate a duty-free exception for small deliveries of below $800 from China. That is apart from the reciprocal tariffs of taxes of 34% on China, which now faces a 54% total tariff. These moves have fanned fears of trade disruptions, threatening to draw immediate retaliation from U.S. trading partners. The Liberation Day announcement fulfills months of Trump campaign pledges, during which he advocated tariffs as a means of rebalancing trade ties, reviving American industry and obtaining geopolitical concessions. But economists warn the real fallout from the trade wars would be a significant slowdown in growth and surge in inflation. JP Morgan analysts upped their bets for a global recession this year to a 40% high. While volatility was visible on Wednesday, trade conflicts, escalations and impact on financial markets will be for Thursday and beyond. Now, for more on this, our correspondent Susan Tehrani has sent us this report from New York. Listen to this.
President Donald Trump has unveiled new reciprocal tariffs with a 10% baseline on all imports, with harsher rates like 34% on Chinese goods and 20% on the European Union. Critics argue that it may spike consumer prices, hurt import-heavy businesses, and even push the United States into a recession. But supporters are saying the opposite. They see it as a bold move to revive American manufacturing, reduce dependency on foreign supply chains, and also level the playing field in global trade. They say that the short-term pain is worth the long-term gain of reshoring jobs and protecting national industries. The question is whether or not these tariffs will ultimately boost the U.S. economy or create what some are calling a trade war. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.
To 525.
All right. And for more on this, we're now being joined by Subhash Chandra Garg, former Finance Secretary of India, live from New Delhi. Thank you so much for joining us on World Business Watch. Now,
thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Let's just get right into this with reactions indicating an escalation in trade wars. How do you see Trump tariffs play out for the global economy? Do you think this is going to be the global economic meltdown that it was made out to be?
See, I don't see this as a global economic meltdown. What I see is as a global tariff meltdown, so to say. If you see carefully, barring 10% basic tariff which has been imposed on all, the reciprocal tariffs have been reserved largely for the developing countries, where the manufacturing has been shifted for in last 3 or 4 decades, and they charge their tariffs for American goods are very high. Take example of China for that matter, 67% tariff is charged on US goods. Take Malaysia, Cambodia, India for that matter, 52%. So what this has done is that it has sent a very sharp signal to these developing countries which have become manufacturing base of the world now, with 60% of manufacturing taking place in the developing world now, that either you reduce your tariffs to what America charges to you, or face the tariff. So what I see is that in times to come, it will be very interesting to see how these countries respond with respect to their tariffs on US goods. I see very quickly, for example, South Korea and Japan, these are the two developed countries which have had very high tariffs on US goods. So I suspect they would be rolling down their tariffs on US goods very soon. Likewise, many of the Southeast Asian countries, Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand for that matter, including China, I think they'll also adjust their tariffs on US goods sharply down. So in times to come, how the countries will adjust their tariffs would be the best way to see the reaction. I don't think there is going to be global meltdown. It will have pain for more American consumers for the time being, rather than the global.
Right, absolutely, sir. Now, just on that note, what is your view of the 26% tariffs on India, and which specific sectors do you see getting impacted the most by this?
See, India, the problem is that we have a very large trade surplus with US as far as India's trade is concerned. Though for America, we are only they are importing only about 2.5% from us. So we are not their largest importers. The others are. So unless we adjust tariffs for the US goods to India, which I would recommend is the best course to do, if we play it out, we play a waiting game that how others are doing, our exports, some of them definitely, for example, let us the diamond jewelry and pharmaceuticals, computers, iPhones, and these kinds of exports will suffer. I think we'll need to be very quick in adjusting. The tariffs which we have imposed on American and for the matter the global goods, which are very high, and it's not serving any real interest of our manufacturing or farmers for that matter. It doesn't matter if the American almonds or apples have very low tariffs. We import almonds from anywhere in the world. How does it matter that American almonds come to us? So unless we are very quick in taking action and dismantling these tariffs, we will probably suffer because we will not be able to compete with the world, which will change.
Right, and sir, just for better understanding on this, for Indians, what goods do you think, so that our viewers get a clearer picture, what goods will get more costlier, what goods will benefit, if you could give us an overview of that?
See, it doesn't make our goods costlier because it's export to America. What we import is what we charge already. That is not going to be going up. It might go down if we do it rightly, which will make our consumers have lesser prices for the American goods, which should be good. For example, let us take Apple or almond for that matter, if the tariff is reduced, Indian consumers will have these things at a lower price. What in case we don't adjust and are able to protect our exports to America, the Indian supply, the domestic supply of the goods which we produce will also go up, which will in a way increase supply in the domestic market. So that will also benefit our consumers. So I don't think our consumers are going to have anything adversely coming out of it. Our manufacturers and the producers may have certain issues in the short run, definitely.
All right, and just of course we've seen that economists and markets, they were showing signs of jitters, and there was some nervousness as well, including in the United States, of course. If you were to just talk about that, what will the tariffs, do you think they will hit growth and jobs in the United States?
See, United States is going to suffer very badly in the short run. I don't think Americans are going to get manufacturing back, except for some of the consumer goods, which in today's world with automation, robotics, and artificial intelligence use, you can relocate the fine consumer goods to America. It need not be produced in Vietnam or Japan or India for that matter, clothes or whatever you take that way. These can be produced there with equal cost, if not very high cost. So except some of these things, anything else, either bulk goods, take steel for that matter, aluminum, cement, nothing is going to be shifted to America. And the third main category of goods, which is the plant and machinery, America is already fairly advanced in certain plant and machineries, and the rest, which is solar, energy transition, and for that matter, electronics also of certain types, there is no way the Chinese can, or when the Chinese are competing very hard with that. So I don't think, except some consumer goods getting relocated to America, American manufacturing is going to get any advantage. What they will suffer in the short run is that if the tariffs kick in, their consumers will have to pay more. I don't think the world will bear the extra cost of the tariff and reduce the prices for them. I don't think that's going to happen. So America is in for pain for quite some time, not as much as the rest of the world. So Americans be prepared much better, especially the American consumers.
All right. Well, Mr. Garg, thank you so much for joining us on World Business Watch with your insights on this. It's been a pleasure speaking to you.